everybody, my name is Hannah and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things spooky. It's currently October, so it's spooky season, and in order to celebrate spooky season this year, I posted 2 videos that were all about the locations of a spooky girls trip that I recently took with my besties. So I included talking about the history and legends about those areas, and then it went into like a little vlog about them. So I talked about and went to Sleepy Hollow, New York, and Salem, Massachusetts. So you can find those videos on my channel. But to end spooky season off, I'm going to be talking about my experience as a ghost tour guide in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm not going to talk about what ghost tours I was involved with or anything like that, but I'm going to be talking about some of the crazy paranormal experiences I had while working as a ghost tour guide. So I actually live pretty close to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania is known to be one of the most haunted places in the US. Almost every time I've been to Gettysburg, I've had a paranormal experience, and I live pretty close to Gettysburg. Obviously, I worked there. My dad actually still works there, not at a ghost tour, but at like a local shop. And it's definitely a really cool, really spiritual, and really spooky place. Now, not everyone there believes. Some people actually get really annoyed by all the ghost tours and stuff like that, which I understand. It's a small town and there's so many ghost tours in the area. But what I did as a ghost tour guide was the first half would be like a normal guided tour. You would kind of walk along a specific route, talk about the route that you're on and the historical happenings of that area, and then some spooky stories and legends that revolve around that area. And then the second half of the tour was actually a ghost investigation. Now, I wasn't actually always the tour guide in the first part. Sometimes it would be somebody else and I was kind of like the helper, but then I would kind of take over once it got to the paranormal investigation. So for the investigation, we would use things like a spirit box, dowsing rods, REM pod, stuff like that. We've actually had a good bit of crazy experiences. I've had so many people tell me that they don't believe in ghosts in the beginning of the tour, and by the end of the tour they would come up to me and say that Gettysburg has made them believe in the paranormal. It was a really crazy experience, to be honest, because watching people go from non-believers to believers in one night was wild. I will say that spirits seem to be really attracted to me, so I've never really had any completely dead, completely silent investigations. I've only had one paranormal investigation where I never really got anything, and that wasn't in Gettysburg. In Gettysburg, there were certain days where there wasn't as much going on. Some nights would be just not as much happening, and then other nights would be crazy. You can never really guess how it was going to be, but sometimes during the full moon, it did seem to rile the spirits up a little bit, and it also got pretty busy around July. Specifically July 4th, because that's when the Battle of Gettysburg happened, and I think the tourism and that kind of stuff kind of just fuels the spirit. I'm going to talk about a few experiences that I've had as an investigator that really was crazy. During the investigation, you kind of all split up to do your own thing. I actually had a group of mediums on that tour, and they were on another side of a field while everybody else was on the other side of the field. Now, I went up to the mediums to ask them how they were doing and if they saw anything. And they actually told me that they saw horses and people on horseback. They explained to me that these were soldiers, and what the horses were doing, and just stuff like that. So I let them go at it and do their own thing, and then I went to go check on another group on the other side of the field. I asked them what they have seen, and I kid you not, the one guy said that horse hooves, like a horse was running around the area, but of course they didn't see a horse. And he actually had a little video that he took of the field, and you couldn't see anything, but you could definitely hear horse hooves. There definitely weren't any horses in the area. We were like some of the only people around at that time. So I told them what the medium told me, and the guy actually didn't believe me because he was a skeptic, but I actually brought them over to the mediums to talk, all conversating, and the guy was like, oh my gosh, I had a paranormal experience. Now that one was just a quick, simple, almost cute story, but the next one I'm gonna tell is definitely a lot spookier. So in the one area, you're not really supposed to go past a certain point because It is believed that somebody conjured up a negative entity in the one area. A lot of people that are into the paranormal and witchcraft and stuff like that come to Gettysburg because it is such a powerful spiritual area, but some people are not respectful. It is believed that during an Ouija board session, someone conjured up a dark entity. It was maybe purposeful, but now in one area there is said to be a dark entity, which everybody tries to avoid that area because of that. And actually, during tours, we don't tell people about it unless they try and go towards that area and are persistent on going in that area. I myself love the paranormal, but I will not get involved in anything evil. I'm into all things witchy. I'm kind of a witch myself, but I also believe in God. Of course, I have my own Christian beliefs, but I believe in God, and I believe in light, love, and peace, and nothing negative. So I actually remember one time during an investigation, I had a group that was persistent on going in the area that I told them not to go. Of course, they went into the area anyways, and being the tour guide, I had to go and get them out. And I had to explain to them what was going on. They then told me that felt like they were being pulled in that area, and that they kept hearing their own name being called, and that they felt like that was a sign for them to go investigate. I then told them that was probably something trying to egg them on and get them to talk to it, and that's when I looked over and I saw a demonic face. I will never get over that. I've only seen a full body apparition one time. I don't believe it's the negative entity such demons true form, and after that I rebuked it and really cleansed myself and prayed and did all that. And since then I've never had any problems with that negative entity. But I actually had my ex pick me up that night, and he was not really a good person. He was definitely a negative person and violent person, and he actually had issues going on for a couple weeks, and I believed that he was cursed, and I tried to like cleanse him of a curse, and it did not work because I don't think that he was actually cursed. I think this demonic entity like latched on to him, and he didn't do anything to get it to stop. I think he kind of liked its attention almost. And honestly, when I was with him, we had a lot of issues. I felt like I myself was cursed. I remember being so upset because I was constantly purifying myself, and still I had a lot of bad things happening to me. I constantly felt like there was some kind of dark cloud over me, and it wasn't until I left him that I felt so much better, and like all the negativity left my life, which of course that probably had something to do with being in a toxic relationship, but I think it also had to do with the fact that he had a demonic entity latched onto him that he kind of let feed off of him. So my third story is going to be pretty crazy as well. At this point, I was actually working for a different ghost tour, and this ghost tour had its own like little museum where they showed off haunted objects. One of the haunted objects was a doll that was said to move its head and stare directly into your eyes. And it was also said that if you do end up making eye contact with the doll for too long, it will then later make you see shadow figures. So I was alone in the museum, kind of like cleaning the area, and I looked over to the doll, and I kid you not, the doll moved. I have never seen anything like that. And I remember, I don't really freak out without those kinds of things. I definitely freeze in those kinds of situations, and my heart just kind of felt like it skipped a beat. And I remember I was just so taken aback that I held the gaze for too long. I actually then went over to my boyfriend's house, not the ex-boyfriend I previously talked about, but my current boyfriend. And I went over to his house, and I never told him about the kind of stuff that happened at work because he's a bit spooked out by that kind of stuff, and I just didn't want to freak him out, especially at night. So I was just kind of hanging out with him, and we were chilling by the window because it gets hot in his room sometimes, so he had like the window open, and he like glanced out the window, and then he looked at me and was like, "Don't move." which kind of freaked me out. I was just like, what do you see? He was like, let's not talk about it right now. And about 5 minutes later, he told me that he saw the Hat Man. And that haunted doll that I made eye contact with was said to manifest shadow figures, especially the Hat Man, if you look at it for too long. I did not end up telling him about that. I knew that was going to freak him out, and I just decided not to do that. So instead, I cleansed the space, I prayed real hard, and we've never seen anything like that since. I actually never saw anything, any shadow figures. It was him. But it was creepy as heck that he told me that he saw the Hat Man, whenever the Hat Man is what that haunted doll is known to show you. So that was pretty freaky, and I actually quit pretty shortly after that. I didn't just quit for that. I'm not really one to get scared off, but I wanted to protect my boyfriend's peace, and honestly, it wasn't just that. I had gotten another full-time job on top of that. I'm also a photographer, so just doing 3 jobs at one time was not the greatest. So I just felt like I had to take a break. And that's the only reason I've stopped working as a ghost tour guide in Gettysburg. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I hope you guys enjoyed spooky season this year, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a video I've been wanting to make for a long time now, and I've just never gotten around to it, so I'm so glad I finally was able to make this video. Before I end this video, I wanted to show off this shirt that I got while I was working as a ghost tour guide in Gettysburg. I actually cut it to make it more aesthetic, but it was originally just a t-shirt. But the front says "Got Ghosts," and the back says "Gettysburg does," with little ghosts. It's also glow in the dark, so that's cool. But yeah, anyways guys, I will see you in my next one. Bye!
Happy Halloween!